Hi everyone, how are you? I hope you are fine, like I am feeling today. I am a person of fast processes. I have no time to get ill, so when I get ill, make it fast. So what happened these past 2 days that I've been like really weird is that many things had happened. Many things had happened in the last week that I was trying to process, and all of them good. None of them was bad. All was good. But I needed to integrate many of the things. So I needed time to rest, and because my body knows that I don't rest, um, it makes me do it by force. So the only thing that I still have is a pain in the throat. So precisely what we are going to talk about today. There's people celebrating because guess what? Tomorrow someone is going to get married again. So let's make a summary of what we have done these 2 past days, but with much more live energy. So we are going to make a short summary of the first day, which is eternal and finite, and the other day that was the next day that was light and darkness. So we could go into this truth and lies, which is for today. So first of all, we have to remember and try to understand why Libra is the symbol that are going to show us how to balance two different aspects that we usually see separated and even against each other. The concept of this is that Libra is the constellation that shows us that everything must be in balance, that everything that we see in this balance has to have the same amount of weight in order to find the specific balance. So in the shape of this balance of this symbol like Libra, what we have is the perception that these two are opposite to each other. So this is like two different things. But that's when you see it from another perception, from the outer point of view. When you see it from that way, you see like two different things in the opposite. Okay? So, but when you see it from the inner perception, this is balance. Okay? You find balance between both of them. So in our point of view of Libra, we would say that if these two are opposite, I had to get rid of one of them so I could be free or I could be better. But what really is happening if I do that is that the weight will do this, so I will be unbalanced. Okay, I will be like turned like this, like falling to the floor. So I need the same weight for that. And how do I give the same weight in order to be in balance? So what I have to give is is the meaning, the purpose to that, to each one of the things that I have. So giving a purpose, a meaning, is how I will find the balance. So what we are going to do throughout this whole month is to try to figure these concepts that we think that they are opposite in this duality. But what we are going to do is to try to figure out how it is really for the universe. And for the universe is to find that these two different concepts are complementary to each other, not opposite. to each other. So I am just looking that some is like don't rush, but what I just was trying to say in my Argentinian way of talking is that through this whole month we are going just to try to balance these opposite concepts that we think about as complementary, to integrate it as one. So the first concept that we had to balance was the finite and the eternal. So the concept of eternity, remember, means that the universe is a constant movement that is pushing by inertia the realities from one point to another constantly, like a mandala. In the other hand, what we call the finite is the process when this pendulum goes to the limit and loses all the energy from the inertia, so it starts to go back. Okay, so that moment when it stops, okay, is like that we think, that we perceive as an ending of something. So it ends and then it goes back again. So it's like the process of coming back home that we call. So that's the only moment when we perceive the finite. So one of the things that we have to understand about this is that this constant movement is made up with thousands and billions of moments that are finite. So every movement that the pendulum goes and stops and then goes again and stop and goes again and stop and goes again and stop constantly is a complete movement that is eternal, never ends. But this process of eternity is made up with thousands of moments of finite. Okay, something is thousands and billions of moments that end in some point. And that's what makes the eternity so complementary to finite. This is why our life is kind of an idea that we are born and die, and then we born and die once and again. So this is not only in one line, this is in many, many thousands of ways that this pendulum is moving around. So one of the things that we have to picture of this eternal cycle is that it's not precisely a constant line, but this is death giving energy to a new life. Death is the beginning of the inertia for a new life. So when the pendulum goes to this way and you find here death is the inertia to give strength for life. And life is, when you are born, creates the inertia towards death. And this is constant, like this. So everything that we perceive as life or death that is finite and limitations, what it really is the moment of taking inertia to create a new path. Okay, so this is how the universe works. By thousands of moments of limitations, we create eternity, because this is the way in which the pendulum finds balance. And the way it does it is like, if we have this line here, the pendulum will move like this, but then it will come a little bit like that, and then moving once and again. So moving around, because everything is about to find balance. Okay, so the movement is all about to equilibrium. So having that image, let's go to light and darkness. So now to understand this, picture the idea that the pendulum is not a stone thing, but it's a light bulb. It's a light bulb hanging by a cable. Okay, so when this starts to move, okay, so it's like the light bulb going there and bringing clarity and light to the spot where it is, and then it goes back and so on. So what we usually would see if we are in a sphere, okay, imagine that the sphere inside is dark, but it's holding this light bulb hanging by the cable, and now it's moving around constantly like the pendulum. Okay, so what you will see is that the light bulb is bringing light into the place where it goes and get closer to, and the rest will be more dark, okay, because the light is going that way. First of all, what we have to understand is that this darkness is not against the light. Darkness is the thing that is holding the light. So we will call it vacuum or void, as you may call it, because this vacuum is the one that holds, okay, the place where the light can be expressed. So until that moment, we have to acknowledge that darkness is not against light, is holding the light. So when the light starts to shine in the center, someone clicks and turns the light, suddenly we realize that darkness was not something different from light, that darkness was simply the absence of light, that there was no light. So now we can understand what is light because of the void and the darkness. It's very beautiful until that moment when the vibration starts to transform the sphere, because the sphere from inside is very perfect and soft. But when the vibration starts to, and the energy starts to move very high because of the energy of the light, so suddenly the body of the spheres starts to move like waves due to the vibration. So with these waves, the shape starts to how do you say, corrugate? It starts to bend to each other, so it creates different shapes. So now something new appears, the things that we call shadow. So what is shadows? Shadows are the projections that the light makes on the shapes, on the forms. So now we can understand this, that due to the amount of energy that the light is creating inside this sphere, it's so huge, this new energy, that it starts to make vibrate and the frequency go high. So this creates a lot of matter, okay? And the distortion starts to create shapes and bodies, the creation of reality. And when the light comes to that reality, it creates the shadows behind. Let's remember this. When we said that this light, when it goes to one of the sides of the inner sphere, it goes straight to one of the corners and it enlightens everything. And the other side stays more soft in the darkness. But what happened if that place where the light bulb is getting closer, there is also a body, a shape? So as much light it goes closer, in the other side there is a bigger and deeper shadow. So here I have an object that is enlightened, very enlightened, because of the light there. But here I have a soft shadow. What happened with this enlightened being, like that enlightened being there, is getting closer to an object. So suddenly, when I get closer, the shadow starts to be more and more intense behind. This is very simple. So as closer we have the light, more stronger is the darkness. So this means that when you may say, I want to get enlightened, so hold yourself, because here comes the darkness. So basically, this is what the universe is trying to tell us, that the shadows are part of the light, are created by the light. I wouldn't have, in the ancient civilizations, they would say, if I am not being able to go through the darkness, I would never reach the enlightenment, because I would never see the world of shapes. If I don't know how to handle the shapes of this world, I won't be able to understand light. So I was trying to say that you may know the myth of the allegory, it says in English, of the cave of Plato, the world of shadows, that you make these shapes. It's your hand, but the shadow that you have behind, it's maybe like a dog barking. But it's the shadow. So the people that see the shadows believe in that they are in this world of shadows and so on. But it's not like that. What it's really happening is that the light of the fire, of the sun, is showing you shapes of different forms. So when you know the forms, you understand the shadows, and you know that the shadow and the form came from the light. So the energy of the light is the one that created everything. So that's what gives a meaning to the shapes and to the shadows, okay? And this is why everything has a purpose, a meaning. Without shadows, we wouldn't be able to understand our purpose and why we are here. So about the darkness, they usually are the constructors of reality, like the insects. And that's why I spoke about insects yesterday, because if you may know about planting, how do you say huerto in English? Yeah, like a garden. When you have a garden and you put different vegetables and plants and you take care of them. So usually, if you know about how to make this plantations, is to put some other plants that attract some insects. So you take care of you take care of your own fruits. Okay, so because there are insects that are useful for the plantation, but there are others that can harm the plantation. So what you do is to put away, okay, some other plants or some fruits, so they could be attracted, okay, for others, and you just control your own. So now imagine that your garden is your body and you have the fruits in your chakras, fruits and flowers, okay? So there are many of those beings around many of those insects that are useful for you, because the insects helps you in the communication between the flowers to pollinize and stuff, okay? So it's normal, okay, for the body, it's useful for the body, okay? But there are some of them that they are not useful, that they can harm our fruits and flowers. So what we do is to set something outside, like a plant, a fruit, an offering for all those other beings, so they have something to eat from, and I can work with my own energy without being harmed. So kind of like that, okay? So there's a lot of things to talk about this, but we will talk about that in different moments. So the important thing of this is to know the base of all this. The fundaments of this is basically to understand this as a garden. So if you understand how to take a garden, then all the tools that you may need for taking care of the garden, just look for it by yourself, because there are many ways of doing it. So let's go back to the shape, the beginning. We have a sphere, we have the light bulb, and we have all the forms, and it's moving around like a pendulum. So remember the shapes, the forms that you had, and the shadows that are projected behind of it. So we may say that these shadows that are projected from the shapes, from the forms, they are like an illusion. They are not real. You cannot touch it. You cannot feel it. Okay, so it's just an illusion, something that is projected from other thing. So it doesn't really exist. The only thing that exists is the shape, okay, that is projecting the shadow. So from that tiny little concept are born what we call lie and truth. So taking this as an example, we may say that this is the truth, this circle, okay, and the shadow, it's the lie. Because if I turn it like this, I can see a line, okay? But I can see the line. But I know that this is a circle. So why can I say that this is true? Because I can feel it with all my senses. I can touch it, I can taste it, I can hear it, I can smell it. Okay, so this is true. Why this is a lie? So for example, I see this shadow, and why is the lie this shadow? Because my mind tries to understand what it is, but it cannot have any other information. So it tries to understand what it is, so it just tries to find a different concept as something similar to relate it to, and suddenly says, I don't know, I guess that this maybe is a UFO, because it seems like a UFO, so my mind says it's a UFO. So there's a name for this, but I don't remember exactly the name. But what the brain is trying to do is to put together all the images that it can possibly know to create a new image. So it tries to survive. So it tries to know and relate. Okay, this is if this have this kind of eyes and ears and teeth, it can kill me. So it's trying to look for all these images all around, so it's easier to identify it in case of danger. Okay, so this is the basement of how our brain works in order to create information that we could share, things that is useful, okay, for us to use, okay? So this means that the brain is trying to create ideas that maybe they are not real, but they are useful, okay, for many things in our life. So what this means, that our brain was designed to lie. But what we have to understand is that the brain is like a car or like a bicycle. It's an instrument that we need to learn how to use, how to ride, how to drive. Because if we don't know how to drive the brain, what we end up doing is creating a whole story that goes by itself, and it starts to be created on and on constantly, and suddenly it will end up into a big accident. So we have a concept of lying that is not saying the truth. We usually have the concept of lying as the opposite of truth, so like hiding the truth. But the origin of the concept of a lie, it's not specifically that. In Latin, the origin of the word is mens, mentir, mens, which means the ability of the mind to create realities. What we usually call lie for the brain is the ability to create, to be able to design realities that you cannot touch. Imaginación. Basically, the whole culture of humanity is a lie. Because it's everything that we have invented, we created. Something that is impossible to be touched. A poem, art, a story, mythology. What I will ask for you right now is to remember that we are here to work for the consciousness, not for the final judgment. We are not here to judge anyone. If you lie, if you're not lying, I don't care. What I really care is that we learn how to use this ability of the brain to lie, to create false realities, in order to do something useful and creative, instead of something that can destroy and make bad to others. So what we usually do when we just deny lying is basically to deny an aspect of our evolution. What we have to learn is how to educate the capacity of the mind. So the goal is not to allow the mind to create ideas by itself, is to try to understand how can I be the one deciding what my mind is going to create. So in this circle, the absolute truth is the light. Today someone gave me this as a gift. This and this are very different things. They are two different truths. And depending from the point of view that you see it, will be also different truths. So it doesn't matter from where you see it, you will always see it in a different way, from a different truth. So this is only one truth inside so many others. So this is why we can say that the light was the only truth. So we usually say, oh, it's a relief to understand that there is an absolute truth, that everything is just different perspectives, and that different perspectives come from the light. So light should be the only truth. So it's a relief. I will go to the light. So suddenly we ask ourselves, but from where the light is coming from? So suddenly you see the cable and you say, oh, it's the network of light, the network that brings the energy up and down. So suddenly you become the network worker, not the light worker. And then I realized that is the sphere the one that is holding the truth. But the sphere is nothing. So what is the truth? The truth is the ability to perceive the different aspects of existence. So the only difference between lies and truth is that lies are built within and truth are built outside. And why the truth is created in the outside? Because it is created through the perception of every one of my senses and the correlation with the other agents that can affirm that that is the truth. And why the lie is something from within? Because it's the ability of the mind to try to understand what is on the outside without the need of feeling. So all of them are perceptions, here and in any dimension, because dimensions are more perceptions. So one of the last things that I want to say is that I've been reading some comments and some questions that you may have asked about why is everything so schematical and so biological. Now it seems like if everything is so from biology and no from other realms of vibration. And the reason why is this is because, I don't know if you remember, but you are human. We are human. And we have been human not only from the moment we were born, we are humans since 250,000 years. And we have been hominids since 2.5 million years. 2 million years. So we have been designed to perceive the reality as a human. So it's impossible for me to explain this, how it would work from the perception of someone that lives in Viga or the perception of someone that lives in a galaxy thousands of years distance from here, light years. Before we could understand all those perceptions, we have to understand the tool that we choose. We have to understand why we have chosen to be humans and to know how to use these tools. The explanation for this is like you are a 5-year-old child that had a bicycle and he's learning how to ride the bicycle, and suddenly he sees a Ferrari coming very fast, and all the things that he's thinking about is, I want to go in that Ferrari, I want to drive the Ferrari. So the bicycle is the human body and the Ferrari is someone from Viga. So first you have to learn how to ride the bicycle, and it's a good bicycle, but you need to learn how to ride the bicycle before you do all the process to someday know how to ride the Ferrari, okay? So step by step. The information of today. The vibration of today is M. The statement for today is, I am the destiny of all truths. The code for today is the physical pattern Sh. We refer to the learning process of the web as evolution. The Sh sound refers to overcoming every conflict, adapting to the environment that surrounds us, to the hostile surroundings that forces us to modify our lives, our bodies, to get out of our comfort zone, to adapt to something new. It's a great price to my abilities to resolve conflicts with the abilities and gifts acquired from life's experiences. So sorry that I spoke too much today, and this is gonna be longer today, but I needed to explain this with energy, because the other days I had no energy. So this is it. In the alignment of today, we are going to integrate the other two also. So 3 of them. So the work for today, the homework, would be to draw. You can also make a music or whatever, but the important thing is to make a drawing, because you can see it later, you can watch it and observe it, register that. And would be to draw the concept of lies and truth that you have of yourself. How do you perceive life and truth in a creative way? Okay, we begin to stretch the body, to massage the body, stretch, sit comfortable. Yawn, relax the body. I leave all the weight fall down. I feel my shoulders relax and fall down. Take a deep breath and focus only on your breathing. I recognize the air around my body. And how it gets inside of it by each breathing. As I take a deep breath, I feel how the oxygen comes through my nose towards my heart, my lungs, blood, organs and muscles. And I perceive all this oxygen, all this air inside my body. as the wind, making my whole body more light, soft. I perceive how the air within me and the air around me become like one, as if I have nothing more than air inside my body. Use your imagination to perceive around you a beautiful place over a mountain, and you find yourself at the edge of that mountain, looking to a valley way far below in a beautiful and wide environment. I perceive the wind from the valley coming towards me. I feel the fresh air in my face and all the skin through all my body. As I open my hands with the palms to the sky, touching the light of the sun. I perceive the breeze filling up my body with energy, coming first through my feet, going up through my knees, hip, waist, back and chest, arms, shoulders, my neck, all my head, and I feel my hair waving softly in the wind. I recognize here and now that this place represents my balance, the axis where I will find my equilibrium. Take a deep breath. I perceive the light of the sun shining on my hair, on the top of my head. I perceive that the light that is coming from the sun starts to shine brighter and brighter on the top of my head, in my crown, and suddenly it divides in two rays of light heading to my hands. I see this light filling up with a huge amount of light in both hands, becoming golden, a source of gold. I feel the weight of all this light in my hands. I recognize that in one hand I find my eternal self, and in the other hand I find my finite self. Take a deep breath. Take your hands to your heart and bring both lights as one unique source in your heart, unifying them with the sound. No. Ma. Take a deep breath and take your hands again to the sides of your body. Take a deep breath as you perceive and allow the light of the sun coming to the center of your head, to the third eye, and from there, through the eyes, the light splits in two, and the two rays starts to fill up both hands with this energy. Feel how it starts to shine until you feel the heavy of this source of energy in both hands. In one of your hands, you find light. In the other one, you find the darkness. Take a deep breath and recognize the power of these two forces and bring them both with your hands to your heart, integrating both of them as one only source. And I activate both of them as one through the sound. Take a deep breath and again put your hands to the sides. With a vibration in my throat, I irradiate two rays of light towards my hands. as I feel the two rays filling up my hands, I can feel the weight of this new energy, as if I am holding gold. I recognize that in one of my hands I find my truth, and in the other one I find my lies. Take a deep breath and bring this light towards your heart. With my hands, I bring these two sources of energy to the center, to the core of my chest. And I unify both of them as the same source through my sound. I recognize I am the strength of the eternity in a finite body. Yo soy. I am the unity between all the lights and shadows. I am the product of all my lies and truth. I am destiny of all truths. I am destiny of all truths. I am destiny of all truths. So I begin to bring all this consciousness through my body by caressing, massaging, stretching and yawning. And when you are ready, come back here and now, opening your eyes. So, like this, we have the 3 days integrated. Thank you everyone for being there and to be patient for being 2 hours today. So tomorrow as always, at the same time, we meet for the heart. So thank you all for being there and see you tomorrow. Rest.